Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our Bitkom Digital Finance Conference. We learned the future of the digital system and the future of the insurance system is digital. And I'm excited to guide you through the next 2 days as your host on this stage. For those of you who aren't familiar with Swapcard in this format, we do have 2 stages. We have our innovation stage and the transformation stage. This is your stage where you are at the moment, and we also have some interactive sessions. And before we start right now, we have one quick reminder. Even though this is a digital conference, we would love to see you interact. We would love to see you chat. We would love to see you ask questions. So please feel free to connect with the audience, connect with our speakers. And in case if you have any questions to the speakers, feel free to write them throughout the day in our chat, which you will find on the right-hand side of your screen. And also use the variety opportunities we have in store for you, and feel free to connect with our partners Allianz and Onfidio. And if you want to tweet about it and if you want to write in the digital world, feel free to use our hashtag DigiFin21. Have fun, enjoy the evening, your first day, and having said that, it's a pleasure to welcome my colleague Fabian today on stage. He's our very own head of digital insurance and InsurTech, and he is one of the co-organizers of this conference, and he will be moderating the first panel on the future of mobility ecosystems. Fabian, welcome on stage. The stage is yours. Have fun.
Thank you very much, Kim, for this very nice introduction, and also a very warm welcome from my side. We here at Bitkom always think in ecosystems. We do not have an isolated view on just one single industry. We always try to capture the whole ecosystem. And just, for example, as the e-commerce had a very big impact on the payments industry, we are also observing very strong disruptive changes in the mobility sector over the last few years. And exactly these changes, they have a very strong impact on the insurance industry. And therefore, I'm very happy to have 2 true experts today with me to have a closer look at this interplay between these 2 industries. I warmly welcome, first of all, Stephen Voss. He's CSO and co-founder of Neo Digital, one of the most successful insurtechs in Germany. And secondly, I welcome Patrick Wirth. He's head of mobility of Balwas Group from Switzerland. But let's go down to business. And let's start with the panel. I would like to start with your perspective, Stephen. We can observe so many new types of mobility: electric cars, autonomous vehicles, sharing business models, and so many more to come. So from your point of view, what are the key drivers of this ongoing change? Is it tech? Is it climate change? Or is it simply a new type of customer behavior?
Well, I personally believe it's a mixture of everything. First of all, climate change does trigger new ways of transportation. We see that people not necessarily want to own cars. They probably want to rent cars or just to lease cars. We've seen many car sharing models over the past 10 years. And this all together with a change in the mindset of the customers will determine how we be using mobility in the coming years. And this will definitely, from our perspective, have a huge impact on how we have to serve as an industry.
Cool, thanks, Stephen. Patrick, do you agree with the view of Stephen, or do you have maybe a different view because you come from an incumbent and you also have maybe a little bit more experienced view because you're from incumbent, or do you totally agree with Stephen?
It's more the question from which perspective are we looking? Is it really the lens of insurance or a little bit broader mobility what's going on? And you ask for what have we seen in mobility and what are the changes for the driver for changes. And we have done a study, Mobility 2040, and we have identified different drivers for the change, but the key driver is technology we have identified. And to be honest, if you look at sustainability, we are spending a lot of time on it, but we haven't seen really changes in the sustainable mobility, to be honest. An e-scooter replacing public transportation or going by foot is not really more sustainable. It's nice, I like it, I pay for it, but it's not sustainable. It's really technology enables us. And then the sharing economy, we think is a huge driver, not owning stuff, sharing stuff, having it when I use it and not I have not to buy stuff. That's a driver too.
Cool. And of course, we would like to focus on the insurance industry. And what I always ask myself, how has the insurance industry reacted on these changes? Have they been too slow over the last years, or do we just see new products and business models? So do we really see a change, or is it just like the old products for new, for example, new types of mobility, or do we really see disruptive changes? Maybe we start with you, Stephen.
Yeah, well, it's everything you said. From our perspective, we do see some changes in the market. We do see that products become more modular, so you can better arrange them towards the customer need. But we're just on the verge of it. We're just at the beginning. On the other hand, we still see these monolith car insurance models, which are fixed, which have to be 1 year, they have to be what we in Germany call the Schadenfreiheitsrabatt, which is the I don't know what the correct translation for that is. I mean, the time you've been without an accident. I mean, this is all very structured and solid, but this doesn't fit into the new behavior. And also what we believe is for the future, what needs to be changed and which we haven't seen yet is what Patrick just explained is it is car sharing, it may be e-scooter, it may be e-bike, but it all somehow needs to be connected together. And we haven't seen the connection yet. And this is something we need to look at.
Yeah, I think that comes to our second part of the panel where we talk about ecosystems, when we connect all these different products and ideas we already have. But you also mentioned modular products. And when talking to insurance executives, you always hear, we have this legacy IT problems. We cannot deal with such modular products. What's your point of view, Patrick, when talking about modular products? Is this the future, or is it just the first step?
You ask, I think the speed of the insurance is lacking a lot behind of the innovation in mobility, what we see. So we have concrete examples. We invest in companies and they have really issues to find insurance partners in different countries all over Europe. We are focused on Europe, not the world, but Europe. And so I'm really struggling with the insurance. I'm from an insurance and I'm really happy that my colleagues in the core business are proceeding, but it's really lacking the speed of mobility. A mobility provider would like to test things in the German market, then in the France market, then in Denmark, I don't know. And then they have to find every time a new partner, a new insurance partner. And it's really difficult to find someone who's flexible enough, offering the gap insurance for peer-to-peer sharing or this or data-driven. And think about the data. We have trillion of data points, but what are we doing? We're asking, how old are you? Where are you living? So this is really crazy. So I think we really have to speed up. And what I observe is the incumbents, the big ones, also we are struggling with the legacy. Yes, it's not easy, but yes, we have also some money to invest. This is good. So we try to speed up, but of course the insurtechs mostly have a better position, but they need the customer access and so on and so forth. So a combination of both is maybe a good way forward.
So your strategic conclusion would be that incumbents have to partner up with startups, or do you think they can do everything on their own?
Yeah, you see it on our example. We have Friday as let me use the term speedboat. Sorry for that. But so we decided as Balwas, we have our very good and performing core business, but if we would like to follow the speed of other industries, we need something else. And so we decided 2017 already that we need something different. And this is Friday in our world, which is core insurance business, but not the legacy, completely new. And there we can act differently than we do it with the other core businesses we have today.
Cool. Sounds very interesting. But when going beyond the core insurance business, of course, we end up at the term mobility ecosystem. How do you think, Stephen, will such an ecosystem look like? Do you believe that this could be orchestrated by an insurer, or will it be orchestrated rather by an OEM? So, what's your opinion about it?
You've seen my reaction. I'm not sure whether the insurer is the right position to orchestrate that ecosystem. What we believe in is that it has to be one touch point for the customer. So instead of buying the car at the car dealer, then insuring the car next to your broker, then going for the service station to have it serviced, it is becoming all about convenience in the future. So what we need to, I think, deliver and develop together is one touch point, convenient customer environment where the customer he just wants to use mobility. He uses the car. Everything is insured. It's probably integrated in only one app that he has on his cell phone, and either it is a problem with the car, he has an accident, or it's something else. It will all come together at one touch point. And this is also why we need to talk about the exchange of data that Patrick mentioned a few minutes before. We have trillions of data points, but we have trillions of data points in thousands of places. And this is what we need to try to cut the knot at that point, because sharing data at that point is beneficial to all of us, not only the car manufacturers who've been very protective over the past years, and not only the insurers who believe they have the ability to look through data and make risk models. And then we have the point of sale who thinks they're the best to talk to the customer. I think we need to come together at that point. And as Patrick pointed out, technology will be a key in the coming years to really focus on that customer.
So you're arguing very strongly for a kind of European mobility data space, if I summarize that correctly?
Yes, which also comes in place is then we have to look at regulation, because we are still, there's France, this is Italy, this is Germany, so we have another issue there. It's not that easy. It's first of all, it's your own country where you need to bring together the data points, and then if you think pan-European, you have to bring together different jurisdictions across Europe or even the world. So I mean that's the Mount Everest of things to do, but you need to start in the base camp.
Yeah, I think that's a very good saying, and I think we should just get started. It's better than complaining all the time that many things do not work. So just let's get started. You've already also mentioned this one single touch point, and I would imagine that, probably the insurer won't orchestrate such a mobility ecosystem. So Patrick, from an incumbent perspective, do you think the brand is going to be totally irrelevant in the future, or do you think the customer really cares about the insurance brand when, for example, buying a car, motor insurance?
I hope so that some will look at the brand, but I'm not sure in 10 or 20 years from now how it looks like. So maybe to explain it in our world, in the Balwas world, we have a strategic guideline for the next 3-4 years, which is built on 4 pillars. 3 are important in this context. Focus the core. So let's make the things as efficient as possible. Reimagine the core. This is everything around. This is connecting to ecosystem and players. And we have diversify the core. This is really new fields beside insurance partly. So this is really new. And the first and the second one, focus the core and reimagine the core, is to put us in the position in an ecosystem to be the best, to be embedded insurance player, as Steven said. You cannot see it, but it's there. Can we position our brand? Sometimes yes, other times no, because nobody cares about it. So maybe our brand is not there, but we are in our core as efficient as possible, as good as possible, best in class we try to be. Then we are also have the best offering to this ecosystem. So plug and play, embedded. And then we have diversified the core, where we are convinced by our 2 focus areas, home and mobility, we can position us in an ecosystem differently. Because insurance is not of everyday relevance, and the hook-in effect is really difficult to key elements of an ecosystem owner. And in mobility and home, we think we can get into this position. In insurance, we are now convinced after several tests, it is really difficult to position insurance products as the everyday relevance and interesting thing for the end consumer. That's really difficult.
So you would argue strongly that the game is decided in the back end and then rather in the front end, if I understand you correctly?
If you look at it from the insurance product side, yes. The question is, would an insurance company like us or others also experiment a little bit outside the insurance core business, what we're already doing with banking or whatever you can imagine? So we invest in companies and we build companies which are not insurance companies. So we try to position Balwas as a company also beside the financial service industry. It's an experiment, but we try, and let's see if that works out.
Cool. Stephen, I know that you have a very good look at especially at the German, but I think also at the European insurance scene. Do you think that most of the German or European insurers are ready for kind of embedded insurance, or do they lack on too strong legacy IT?
Yeah, I have to be very hard in that point, and I think yes, they still struggle with the legacy of their systems. This is what we see every day. I mean, we do work together with other insurers. We also help them because we can deliver services as Neo Digital, and we do see the issues every day. This might be that internal systems are even not connected to each other. So there is the customer system, there's the claim system, there's the payment system. They don't work together, or they don't communicate, which is the more important thing. And also what we are talking about and what Patrick just said, this really demands flexible modular products. And if your system is still an AS400 from the 1980s, it's nothing wrong with an AS400 IBM system, but they are very solid systems, but solid is not flexible at that point. And to adapt these systems then to new products where you only pick portions of parts of the insurance, it becomes very difficult. To bring to the shelf a complete product is not their issue. It's having these flexible parts of a product, because I need, for this area of mobility, I just need that part. I maybe just need accident cover. I maybe need liability cover. I maybe need liability cover only for a certain time when I share a car. This is just a fragment of a time, and your system needs to be ready to handle this. And obviously the old systems, they just can't do this.
So to summarize your opinion, traditional insurers have two options. The first one would be to have huge investments in the IT, and probably the second one would be to partner up with players such as Neo Digital. We at Bitkom always like also to look a little bit more in the future, and then of course I think you have to talk about telematics. We see a rather low distribution in Germany. We have a stronger distribution, for example, in Italy. Maybe Patrick, you probably observe telematics, pretty much. And can you summarize maybe what are the success factors of telematics? And maybe you can also tell our participants online, why is it working in Italy? Why isn't it working that well at the moment in Germany? That would be good. Thank you.
I think that's the one. Why is it working in Italy is an easy one. The regulator says you have to. So this is an easy one. So there are regulator things in place that in special situations you have to install it. And this is why 22% of the market already uses telematics. So it's by law you have to. And in all other markets, like as Germany, you mentioned it, we are around of 1% of the owners is telematics. So what are the success factors is much more difficult. We have done a lot of testing and tests and research in that field and interviews. And the conclusion is, if you combine telematics, insurance, and share your data, that is difficult for clients. If you combine, can you share your data and you get other benefits besides something out of insurance, then it's getting better. So if you have a strong brand, for example, an OEM, and you position data collection, you can get this benefit or that benefit, or we're doing this and insurance also, then the openness to share data is much more there than it is when you say, can you share with an insurance company your data? So we have learned to come again back to the ecosystem aspect. Why should someone share data about their behavior, what they are doing, where they're driving? how they use stuff. The trigger is not insurance, and you can save some money. It is for some, but as you said, it's not a lot of people using it today. But if you combine it then with mobility solutions, you can get, I don't know, benefits to use this e-scooter, or you can get that or something else. Then you can implement also the insurance topic. So it's a combination, again, the consumer in the middle. Why should the consumer do what? And this, you have to think broader and not only specific insurance. This is really difficult. And now we can come to some things. Why is it with insurance? Why is it difficult? But we can discuss ours. The fact is, for insurance to sell pure telematics is difficult. Combine it with other things makes it much easier.
So again, the ecosystem view is necessary, and of course it's also about convenience again. Stephen, I know that Neo Digital is going to offer telematic tariffs, I think maybe in a few months. Maybe some players think, oh, that's a bold move for such a young player. Why do you think telematic tariffs are so important for the future when talking about motor insurance?
Yeah, I mean, this was the beginning of our conversation. The mindset and the behavior of the customers have changed. I mean, what we recognized over the past months, or even now the last year in Corona mode, was that many cars were sitting in the garages. And suddenly customers tend to say, well, I'm paying the yearly fee, but I'm actually not driving the car at all. So this is where pay as you drive comes into play, which has been done before. And the second thing which comes into place is what Patrick explained earlier is the benefit for the customer. So not only pay as you drive, but pay how you drive, and the combination of both. So if I'm a good driver and I'm solely using the car, why should I pay more? So the benefit is paying less. And one of the other drivers we see is, which I believe is breaking up the old system. Make you a very easy example. There's a huge penalty on young drivers or new drivers, which have to pay a lot of premium to be insured. If they can prove, and here comes the benefit, if they can prove through telematics in real time that they are good drivers, they get a much better insurance rate. And this can also be, think it further, think it in the future, this could also be then transferred into a common data for car rentals. When the young driver rents a car, when the young driver is using another mobility concept, then data comes together, and that's the benefit. As Patrick said, I don't think sharing the data is the problem. It's showing the benefit for the customer and how he could use it and what's good for him.
Yeah,
Patrick, yeah,
shortly. I think what is important for us, why it is telematic is a must in the future, and today already we see this sharing topic. So who owns the car? And if it's more and more, it is a fleet you have to insure, and less ownership or owner of the car, it is fleets, then the telematic aspect is even more interesting, because the fleet owner really wants to have the insurance, how you behave and who the person is driving, how it's driving, and what the person is doing with the car. And so with these sharing aspects and who owns the car, and when we move more to fleets, telematics is really getting bigger and bigger and will grow. So it's not only looking at this ownership model we have today, also the change to the fleet ownerships, I think, is a driver for telematics too.
Cool. So we just have 2 minutes left and one final question, and I'd like to start with you, Stephen. Telematics, I think both of you are supporters of the idea of telematics, and I started before that when saying we have a rather low distribution. Do you have a guess what kind of percentage we're going to have with telematic tariffs in 2030?
Definitely. If I can start, I think it's above 25% for sure.
Cool. And Patrick, what would be your guess?
I'm normally way off too optimistic about these things, so I would go for 50% plus.
Okay.
Well, I'm really in innovation and very optimistic. So I think the sharing and fleet stuff will lift us to 50%.
Happy with that. Everything's fine.
Okay, we like to have innovative and optimistic guys here at Bitkom. So thank you very much, Patrick. Thank you very much, Stephen. Like from my side, I can say I learned a lot, and I hope it was the same for the participants we have online.